Welcome back to another episode of a Wanderer's Way podcast. I'm your host, Dustin Nuttall. Thank you for joining me for this new episode, and I hope you will enjoy it. All right, thank you for joining me for this newest episode. I just want to let you know I've actually picked up a brand new microphone. I hope it sounds good to you guys. I would like your thoughts and opinions about it, how it sounds versus the older ones. Just also to let you know, there might be a little bit of pops. I'm using an old pop filter right now. Had to kind of jerry rig it, so I don't think it's perfectly on there like I need it. However, I do have windscreens and pop filter coming in this Thursday. So I just have to wait for those to come in. So hopefully there's enough filter for the pops right now. Anyways, so this episode is going to be about anime, dubs versus subs. And yes, it is controversial within the anime community. And that's why I'm bringing it up, because I love controversy. I love views and opinions, and I love to understand how everyone thinks versus myself and everyone else around them. So, let's just start off with what I enjoy most. And I'm just going to throw it out there is that I actually enjoy subs most. And you're actually talking to someone who actually was watching Dragon Ball Z and Bleach and Sailor Moon and Yu Yu Hakusho and dubs when I was younger. And I loved them. And there are dubs that I enjoy. Now, most of the dubs that I enjoy are actually early 2000 to, let's see, I really don't like the modern dubs, honestly. So it's more of the older pastime. So 90s and 80s, I absolutely enjoy. But when you come to the modern era of anime, the graphics are good, the storylines are good. But when you get to the dubs, it just seems to kill it. Now, there's several that are out there, like, for example, Fire Force and Fairy Tail, which I actually really enjoy as dubs. But then you get ones like, Dragon Ball Super, which is absolutely horrendous. The name changes, the sounds of their voices, it's not the same as it used to be back in the Dragon Ball Z days, especially Gohan. Ugh. When they redid everything in the Kai. Dude. My ears. I could not stand Gohan. Teen Gohan was the absolute worst. And something about the dubs nowadays for Dragon Ball, even though you have, Goku and Vegeta that are the same, as they were back then, it's just not that good. I don't know what it is. Now, when we went with the newest movie of Broly, now it was good, but Broly himself, I don't know what everyone's obsession is with Vic, but I think he's absolutely terrible. There was nothing that made him stand out, honestly. His voice is so dull and plain. Now, you went to the sub side. Broly was just absolutely amazing sounding. That gargling voice just really made him pop as that villain. Vic's voice just didn't. It was pretty bad. At least to me. I hated it. I hate Vic, so I can care less that he's gone. I really can care less. I'm just throwing it out there. It's just for more controversy. That is my job. Create controversy, which I seem to do a lot, and very well. So let me introduce what the meaning of dub actually is. As if someone's new here, doesn't know much about what dub or sub means. So let me introduce the word dub originated in Hollywood in the late 1920s, right around the time the first movies with sound were introduced. So It comes from the word double, since the process of dubbing means to create a second vocal track. And when we come about the dubs from the subs, it's literally meaning it's just doing the English version or, well, certain language for wherever. Most of the time when we talk about dubs, we're talking about an English format versus the Japanese. But there are dubs for other, like Spanish, yeah, all that. But here's the thing, and this is why most people, including myself, enjoy subs over dubs, though. It's because it's the best translation. The translation, like it's really hard to translate certain things from Japanese to English because of the language barrier wise. But when you see a lot of changes in the dub versions, and like the context, the dialect, the phrasing, and the style of speaking. And for it to hit the right way that it's supposed to hit, it's only the sub version that actually hits it perfectly as the creator wanted it to. And I've seen that so many times, even in Dragon Ball. And same thing with Bleach too. Like, I actually prefer the dubs over the subs in Bleach. But when you look at the context and everything and how it's spoken, Bleach is actually better in the subs. I just enjoy the voices better in the dubs, but that's because I actually grew up on it. So, also you have honorifics. So in the Japanese versions and the culture of Japan, you honor people based on where they at in society. So you got san, chan, and kun. Try to translate that over the English, it doesn't really seem to translate a lot of times. You don't have that honor feeling of what it's supposed to have for each person to make someone feel more important. And as someone who loves Japanese culture, that is really, really big with me. Also, you got sentence ending particles. Yes, this one's kind of hard to explain, but it's the particles that end the sentence can usually make or break a given sentence. So the biggest one where you can find this in is actually Naruto. Really big. And it's about, like, for example, you have that conversation about how pretty Hinata is. Yeah, it doesn't translate well. It doesn't come out well either. Then you got another one which is about character mannerisms. So the ending particle, primary piece of who the character is, it just doesn't translate well over into the dub versions. So it takes a lot out of the context of everything. It removes a lot of phrasings and then it gets changed. So it's not that good in the dub. When you really look at how the context is and how it's supposed to be, you find those mega changes. One Piece is another big one too of the changes, and let me tell you, One Piece I cannot watch in subs, and this is coming from somebody who actually enjoys subs over dubs. So it just seems like how it goes. And then the changing the meaning of the show is another one. It's like, so you'll see a lot of animation changes from dub to sub, and this ain't just about translation of voices and context and all this. This is actually about the animation itself. In the Japanese versions, you'll see things that are more offensive to the American people or the English speaking people, I guess you can say. But for example, here in America, there's a lot of context and inappropriate kind of animation that are actually very offensive, I guess, to our culture, but is very normalized in the Japanese culture. Heck, you got ones where in the Japanese versions, it's uncensored. It's an animal, beast kind of thing, and they have, the drawing of a butt. It just kind of shows them in their nature. You put it over in dubs, and it gets changed to where it's just pretty much flat, and it's like their butt does not exist. It's kind of like that censorship from Japan to dubs. So you have that kind of ruins a lot. And let's look at one of the biggest masterpieces of anime of all time. And yes, I am throwing this out there, the biggest masterpiece of anime of all time, because it translates from the manga very, very accurately, precisely, and perfectly. So when we translate certain mangas into anime, there's a lot of changes, or can't be accurate, can't fit all of it into it. And then, we have that issue, and then it gets translated into dubs. So, yeah. So, for example, let's go with the masterpiece I was talking about, Parasite. Yes, Parasite is a masterpiece. If you haven't seen it, you better go see it. I think the manga was created in 1980s, maybe 90s. I can't remember. I think it was the 1980s though. Well, anyways, the manga was created. When they did the anime, it literally came straight out of the manga very accurately. Very minor things was taken out. It was done so well. And that's why I call it a masterpiece, because it came exactly from the manga, and it had a great storyline, and they didn't really have the fillers in there like most anime have to do, or felt like they have to do. Anyways, let's get back on subject here. So you get a lot of translation issues with that anime from the subs to the dubs, and you see the sub really translates the context very well. And I watched both just to get the feeling and understanding of it. Because I actually watched the dubs first, and I absolutely enjoyed it. I watched the subs afterwards, and I started noticing, wait a second, why do I feel this is a little different in the context? Like, it just makes it better. So I started kind of looking at it a little bit, watching each episode twice, first in sub and then went to dub, remembered the biggest spots, and I've noticed that the context was changed when it was translated over. And it kind of ruined it for me. And I was like, okay, I can't watch the dub anymore for Parasite, because the Japanese version is so much better. And that's how it is with the majority of anime. Sadly, even Dragon Ball Z too. Like I said, I was raised on Dragon Ball Z on a dub version, which I actually like, even still today. But like I said, when I go to Dragon Ball Super, I absolutely hate the dubs. It is horrific. But it seems to be like that for a lot of different kind of anime as well. But yeah, I would say that the anime community, so it depends on what you're looking at. So if you're an anime purist like me, I guess that's what I'm going to throw out, you will prefer the subs. If you're, let's say, new to anime, or you're just very picky on your anime, you may actually prefer the dubs. And there's nothing wrong with what you pick. But when you want the right context and you really look at it, you start to, there's a lot of people out there who say, I don't like subs because I don't like reading. Well, that's how it was at the beginning for me. I said the same thing. I've gotten to the point where I understand without even reading. Like, I'll still have the subtitles up there just because it's a habit for me to have it there. If it's not there, it doesn't feel like a right thing to do, you know what I mean? But I'm not even reading them anymore. I literally understand everything, and it just seems to fit so well. But then again, I also started studying Japanese a couple years ago too, which I haven't done this year. But yeah, you come to those times where you may not be able to speak the Japanese, but after hearing it for so long, and that reading of it too, when you're doing the subs, you start to just not even read and you understand. And if you're like me, who's very visual, you don't even need the words to translate what's truly going on in the story too. Now, there are some anime out there that even the visuals don't even give away the story, that you have to understand exactly what they're saying. But for a lot of the anime are pretty basic nowadays, especially in the modern age. And I know that I enjoy the subs more for the modern age anime. Now, the early 2000s, so like, for example, Full Metal Panic, I've been rewatching that. I fucking love it in the dubs. Absolutely love it. And the same thing with Sailor Moon. I didn't like the Japanese version at all. I hated the voice of Sailor Moon so much. Then again, her voice is not the greatest in the dubs either, but it's a little more tolerable to me. Yu Yu Hakusho, I grew up with the dubs, and still to this day, absolutely love it. It seems like the 90s and 80s and very early 2000 anime, I watch more in dubs. Now the newer ones are just, to me, better in sub than they are dubbed nowadays. That's just my opinion. And with that being said, I'm going to end this episode right now. I would like to hear your feedback, your opinions, and your views on dubs versus subs. So send your messages my way, let me know, and y'all have a good day.